Welcome back to another chapter of Wayside School Gets a Little Stranger by Sachar. This is chapter 16, Mr. Poop. We last left off when Mrs. Drizzle, they finally figured out where they had heard of Mrs. Drizzle before. She was the mean teacher that Lewis had talked about earlier. And Mrs. Drizzle certainly remembered Lewis, made him sit and do his homework over again, and complained about his dirty fingernails and told him to shave off his mustache. So, here we are at chapter 16. Joy, Mauricia, and Jenny were playing jump rope out on the playground. School hadn't started yet. Mauricia and Jenny were twirling. Joy sang a song as she jumped. My mama wore pajamas to the grocery store. She smashed a bunch of eggs on the grocery floor. 1 dozen, 2 dozen, 4 dozen, 6. She dumped a bunch of jelly jars into the mix. Grape jelly, apricot, don't forget cherry, orange marmalade, and wild strawberry. A man walked by and fell in the glop. He slid next door to the barber shop. His icky, sticky body got covered in hair. He tore a hole in his under. Joy tripped over the rope. It wasn't her fault. Mauricia had suddenly stopped twirling. Hey, said Joy, what's the big idea? Look, said Mauricia. A very handsome stranger was walking toward them. The girls stared at him. Good morning, Mauricia, said the stranger. Jenny, Joy. How do you know my name? Mauricia asked nervously. She wasn't supposed to talk to strangers. I've known you a long time, said the stranger. I see you almost every day. Mauricia was beginning to feel scared. She looked around for Lewis the yard teacher, but she didn't see him. I can scream real loud, she warned. Oh my gosh, said Jenny, it's Lewis. Mauricia looked at the stranger. He did look sort of like Lewis, except his hair was combed and his shirt was tucked in. He was wearing a tie and there was skin between his nose and his mouth. He had shaved off his mustache. That's Mr. Lewis to you, said Lewis. I'm a teacher and I expect to be treated with respect. You want to play jump rope, Mr. Lewis? Asked Mauricia. Lewis was great at jump rope. He could even do it blindfolded. He was the one who taught Joy the song she was singing at the beginning of the story. No, thank you, Mauricia, said Lewis. I don't play games. I'm an adult. But you're the yard teacher, said Jenny. No, I'm a professional playground supervisor, Lewis corrected her, and he walked away. Wow, whispered Mauricia. I never knew Lewis was so handsome. Lewis patted her heart. I think I'm in love, she said. I thought he looked kind of goofy, said Joy. Up in class, everyone was talking about the new Lewis. He looks so weird without his mustache, said Calvin. He's handsome, said Bebe. He got mad at me for running across the blacktop, complained John. He made me go all the way back to the edge of the blacktop, then walk across it, and I had to call him Mr. Lewis. I'm very proud of Lewis, said Mrs. Drizzle. He has always been a troublemaker, but I think he's trying to be good. We should all give him a chance. Joyce stared at Mrs. Drizzle. It's your fault, she thought. You made him shave off his mustache. At recess, Lewis refused to pass out the balls. I haven't washed them yet, he said. You're going to wash the balls? Asked Eric Bacon. They're filthy, said Lewis, and they have the wrong amount of air in them. I don't care, said Eric Fry. I do, said Lewis. Before I can let you play with them, I have to clean them and pump them up with the precise amount of air pressure as specified by Poops. Poops? Asked Eric Ovens. The Professional Organization of Playground Supervisors, explained Lewis. He showed them the Poops handbook. Well, what are we supposed to do? Asked Eric Fry. Just play and have fun, said Lewis. But remember, stay off the grass and no running on the blacktop. No eating and no excessive shouting. The three Erics walked away. What a booger brain, muttered Eric Bacon. Lewis heard him. That's Mr. Booger Brain to you, young man, he said. The next day, when the kids tried to go up for recess, they only made it down to the 4th floor. The stairs were completely jammed with other kids from lower classroom. Hey, what's going on? Shouted Joy. Lewis won't let anyone outside, somebody shouted. He's painting the blacktop. But I have to go to the bathroom, yelled Stephen. Now he's gone too far, said Joy. Excuse me, out of my way, sorry, coming through, she said, as she squeezed in and out of kids and crawled through legs and climbed over heads until she made her way down to the bottom of the stairs. Lewis was slopping black paint across the blacktop. Joy could see him through the glass door. Next to him was a big bucket of paint. "Mr. Lewis!" she shouted so loud even the kids on the fourth floor had to put their hands over their ears. He came to the door. "What are you doing?" Joy demanded. "The black top isn't black," exclaimed Lewis. "It's gray. A black top is supposed to be black. It's right here on page 43 of the Poop's Handbook." He opened the book and showed page 43 to Joy. Joy grabbed the book and threw it across the gray top. It landed plop into the bucket of paint. All the kids behind her cheered. "You're the poop," said Joy. Lewis's red face turned even redder. The place where his mustache used to be turned purple. "That's Mr. Poop to you," he said. And that's where we stop at chapter 17, Why the Children Decided They Had to Get Rid of Mrs. Drizzle. All right, thanks. See you tomorrow.